Everybody, this is Jo Koy. And I'm only saying that because given another maybe 24, 48 hours, you ain't gonna be seeing no more of this dude. Because, oh my goodness. I have never, ever seen a hosting fail this bad. In like, I don't know if I ever have. Wow.
I was so busy like defending him, like, no, he's doing fine. And then, you and Lexi, we were messaging together and we're like, kind of like, you liked this joke? And I was like, oh, I'm just toning him out. I'm tuning the whole thing out. That's why I'm just not listening to him, which definitely is a failing on the host.
Mhm.
Uh, I mean, he didn't say anything offensive, so
Well, apparently a few people
what?
were offended by a couple of his comments, but
Oh, shit.
well,
Uh,
so the most he did was some people reacted to his joke about the big boobs on Barbie, which was just
oh,
dumb.
okay, yeah.
That was just a dumb joke. But then also some of the weird jokes, like trying to make fun of like Asian culture stuff, like the jokes on sushi and whatnot. But here's the problem: most of his jokes weren't jokes. He had like a couple observations. He had a couple stale jokes that everyone's made before, and then half of his jokes were just, "Look who's here in the audience! It's that guy and that guy and that girl and that guy." But
Yeah.
there was almost no jokes. He's just making observations. They're not funny.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
man.
Pretty low hanging fruit too. Like I
Oh,
saw Oppenheimer, didn't finish it. It's long. And I appreciated that joke because that's a dad joke that I would make to the cringing of my children,
but literally everybody on Twitter made that
Who
joke.
has it? That's an Irishman joke. That's not an Oppenheimer joke.
Ricky Gervais told that joke better when he said, "Once upon a time in Hollywood, 3 hours long. I went into that movie, and by the end of the film, Leo DiCaprio's date was too old for him."
Yeah.
That's a joke. That's a punchline
Right. Yeah.
at
There's a
Leo
setup and a
DiCaprio's
punchline.
expense. But,
Hmm.
but that's the thing. I'm just shocked that this dude did so terribly. And I'm sorry, people viewing this. You have to understand if you didn't watch this, you don't know how terrible Jo Koy was in this. And let me just say this: I've read up on it. He was a last minute hire because literally everyone else they asked said no. And so obviously, up and coming comedian, popular with the Filipino community. He's like, oh yeah, this is my step up to, really get up to the Golden Globes and show what I'm made of. And after that first monologue, Twitter was exploding with memes about how terrible he was. Like,
Like it would, though. Yeah.
well, yeah, but I mean, it's the thing where like if you really do a good job, Twitter will be on your side. They'll actually like help you. But no, he just showed that he's not funny, and
Well,
it's a shame.
it didn't help at all that the celebrities after were funnier.
Uh,
Like
Well,
Jared
literally,
Leto, who looked very much, I wouldn't say plastered, but he was funny. And
yeah,
he was
it's a
so in the
weird day
moment
where
and present,
it,
at the awards.
it's a weird day where Jared Leto making fun of himself is funnier than the actual host of the show. Just Jared Leto openly mocking himself for being a weirdo, and that's a
Yeah.
better joke than anything that Jo Koy said. Oh man, that was.
Well, he
I
got a
mean,
genuine laugh from the person on stage with him too. So that
yeah.
didn't.
I mean, there were some genuine funny moments. None of them came from Jo Koy.
Yeah.
It's
I
just so
think
sad.
I think my favorite was Daniel Kaluuya making fun of AI with just perfect
Oh,
comedic timing
yeah,
with
where the
Haley
three of them were
Steinfeld
like
and
pretending
Shanique
to
Moore.
the three of them doing that skit where they're pretending like this is written by a producer.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was, I mean, again, there were some funny bits. I mean, probably one of the funniest bits, just totally because it was random, was Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig doing that jig to the music. We're just like,
Yeah.
what just happened?
Well, they were so natural at everything being peculiar that I thought, oh, here's another crazy, crappy thing that's happening on stage. And the actors are like, what's happening? But Farrell's been doing it a long time, so is Wiggs.
He's
So
a natural. He's one of our funniest actors,
yeah.
and it's Jo Koy isn't. And I'm sorry, I don't want to
And
just make
he
this.
he made a joke at the Golden Globes expense that landed harder than anything Jo Koy said. So
Well, then also Jo Koy pissed off Taylor Swift. So Now he's got the Swift
The
maniacs coming
Swifties on
after
his
him.
side, yeah. I think they're
Oh,
just called Swifties.
yeah, the Swifties or whatever. Because that was the weirdest thing where the joke wasn't even all that offensive, but that cut to Taylor Swift just sipping wine, looking
Well, I
unamused.
think she was trying to be a part of it. Like, I don't think
Yeah,
she was actually offended. I think that
I.
she just knows that to be
It's the way it
present in
was
the moment. Like
framed. It's the way it
the
was
way
framed.
Ryan Gosling looked at him when he mentioned him too was really funny.
Yeah. Which also, by the way, hey everybody, I'm Justin, and that's Bradley. Sorry, I didn't introduce us,
Hello.
but I know you guys know who we are.
Yeah.
Now, you may have noticed we haven't recorded in a while. This year was rough for me.
Last year.
Yeah, well, okay, not 2024. We just started,
I
but
hope it's
yeah.
not rough. It's been 2 days, man. Or
No, it's
7 days.
yeah. No, last year was rough for me. There's a lot, even after everything I told you guys about my wife being sick and then
Mhm.
going to the hospital, and then she had a stroke, and then I quit my job. I just was just so stressed out with everything that year. I was not performing well with my teaching, and I was really bummed because I liked doing that job, but the kids were also just awful. Not all, some of them. Some of them were great. Some of them I love dearly, and I adore them, and I hope best things for them. Some of them not so much. But
Well, as an educator, you know you can't step over certain bounds that a lot of awful behaviored kids need, and
But the problem
that's
is you're
the burden
expected to
that
do
sucks.
everything as a teacher. You're expected to be the front
Absolutely.
line on everything, and they just kind of hope you will solve the problem. And I get it. I get it. That's your job as a teacher to some capacity, but you kind of need the parents to help and other people to help too.
100%, man. And you
I mean,
should
and
be
you know what?
paid better.
I'm not going to disparage any of my other teaching companions or the
I can
principal or
respect
anybody like
that.
that. They, you know what? A lot of them are very good at what they do, and I hope the best for all of them too, because they're all
Yeah.
very very nice. And it was my decision to quit that, and that's just me. I just couldn't. Things were not going great for me, and it probably would have gotten worse if I had not resigned because I was just not in a good state mentally.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was. I'm getting help. This year's probably going to start better. So bear with me, folks. And I for the few of you who watch this video, thank you. I know this is something that Brad and I pretty much just do as an excuse to keep talking to each other. But
Yes.
yeah, but it's just nice to be able to talk about this stuff. This is what I like to do. I like to commentate and podcast kind of thing. Funny enough, I did actually apply for a podcasting job here in Boise. So, and
Yeah,
it would
fingers crossed then.
pay double what I was making at teaching.
Teachers, please pay your
Why do
teachers
teachers not get paid enough? I mean,
a
look, this
lot.
is not exclusive to just my state.
Yeah,
My state is
this is our
particularly bad.
new podcast. Pay teachers more.
Oh man, yeah, I would totally join in on someone talking about that because look, it's not like you can't have a livable wage what they pay you at certain schools. But if you're married and you have kids and you have other stuff going on and you're not both working, that money goes really quickly. Just
Yeah,
saying, it goes really quickly.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some times when I've just been flat out broke while teaching. It was
Mhm.
just no. But I'm sorry, this is not a teaching podcast. It could be though, but no. But I just that's what happened this year. That's why there's such a huge gap in the video releases, just because there wasn't really a whole lot else to say, and I was dealing with way too much. So, but yeah, everything's going good with you, Bradley.
Yeah, absolutely.
No other kids on the
Me
way.
and the two oldest kids did a little competition on the Golden Globes. Whoever won got to pick what video game we'd all play together next.
Aw.
I won. I kicked their butts. Yay
Oh
me.
darn! Your young kids couldn't watch Poor Things and make a
I'm
decision like
usually
that.
terrible. I'm usually terrible at these things.
Oh well, hey, at least I like how you get your kids involved in stuff. I saw your photos that you posted in our thread group about taking your kids to go see The Boy and the Heron and a bunch of other stuff
Yeah.
too. So that's really
Well,
sweet.
I ended up picking this it's this paperclip game that's supposed to teach about the dangers, advantages, and interesting algorithms that come from an AI. I guess you're trying to sell paper clips. And
Hmm.
if you're not very technical minded in telling the AI what to do, it could end up destroying the world. So I'm excited to try that out next
What a
week.
scary sounding game.
Right?
Yeah, I've been messing with some AI stuff too, and I mean, thank goodness AI is still in its infancy in some states. Like some of it's pretty good, but some of it you're like, Yeah, this AI is not going to threaten anybody. But anyway, so we're gonna do something interesting. We're gonna try to do this quickly, but we're not just talking about the Golden Globes, but also the Creative Art Emmys happened because there's a whole delay with the ceremony from last year. I mean, honestly, we're talking about the Emmys now, and then in 6 months they're gonna announce the next Emmy nominees, I'm assuming. So but they did the creative art categories. So that's all the technical categories, the variety shows, the documentaries, anything that isn't the main categories for scripted series. They did. So yeah, we'll just kind of breeze through that because there were some shows that won, and I have thoughts on them. Good thoughts and interesting thoughts. So do you want to do the Emmy stuff first or the Golden Globe stuff first, Bradley?
Let's get the Emmy stuff out of the way.
All right. Well, I made some notes on this too, just to breeze through because, shock and surprise, there was a couple shows that dominated the tech categories. The one that dominated the most was The Last of Us. 8 wins out of that was the most of any show at the tech categories. So Last of Us won, and I have the list here typed up so that way I knew how to group them. It won for visual effects for a series, which the visuals are really good in that show. It won for sound editing and sound mixing for an hour-long show. It won for editing for the episode where all the infected attack that town. It won prosthetic makeup for episode 2 that featured the clickers more heavily because that prosthetic makeup's amazing.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
It won for main title design for the intro titles, and then the big two for the tech cat. Well, when I say tech categories, the guest acting categories are done during this time too. It won both guest actor and actress categories for Nick Offerman, who, I mean, honestly, everyone knew he was going to win.
Yeah, after the episode finished, everyone assumed that was the winner.
But the surprise winner was Storm Reed. For people who don't know, Storm Reed, there she is. She was the girlfriend character for Ellie in the flashback episode. Wow, that kind of came out of nowhere, but she also was great. Because people weren't predicting her to get nominated at first, and then she won. So you're just like, yeah, absolutely. I think she absolutely deserved it.
Yeah, I agree as well. That episode was so troubling to watch, having teenagers myself and teenagers who I, in no doubt in my head, would be like, there's zombies outside, but also a cool arcade. Let's go. So
yeah. No,
the fealty and the adventure of youth being cut short by wanting to do more than just survive. The heavy themes. I loved her performance. And also Bella Ramsey, of course, an incredible co-star with her in that episode.
Well, it helps that they did a good job with adapting that DLC story into an episodic format kind of thing. So it managed to get the right energy without having to do beat for beat everything that happened in that DLC. So
I never played the DLC, so it was all a surprise to me.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, more or less the episode covers the story of the DLC minus a few extraneous details kind of thing. But otherwise, it's more or less exactly what happens in it. So, but yeah, no, that was great. And yeah, so that one dominated the most. Now, there was a tie for the second most because The Bear, Wednesday, and White Lotus won 4 Emmys apiece. So The Bear won for casting for a comedy series, editing for a comedy series, and then sound editing and sound mixing for a comedy series for a half hour.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was mostly for either the pilot episode or the one take episode. So not surprising there.
Yeah.
Wednesday won for production design for a contemporary series, contemporary costumes, non-prosthetic contemporary makeup, which they distinguish from prosthetic and non-prosthetic. And then the category was going to obviously win the main title music.
Yeah, that's a good title.
That music is great for the
Agree.
sequence. Yeah, no, it's really good music. So, and then White Lotus, which moved from limited series to drama series, because technically they have to do that if the second season continues the story onward, because that's what happened in Downton Abbey way back in the day too. But White Lotus won for casting in a drama, contemporary hairstyling, music for a series, which surprising, it beat out Succession and a bunch of other things, and then music supervision as well. So that's just for the compilation of all these, licensed songs for the show.
Yeah, I do really like the music in Succession, and I haven't seen White Lotus yet.
I've only seen the first episode of the first season, which was admittedly really good. Just it really is just a giant acting showcase for all the people they get in the show. So that's why it gets acting nominations, because they give everyone their big Emmy monologue scene in every episode.
Oh, that's cool. All right.
I mean, heck, Murray Bartlett, the guy who was the other dude in Nick Offerman's episode of The Last of Us, got his big break from winning an Emmy on Like Lotus. So clearly, it gets you somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now those are the biggest ones. Now, obviously, Beef won a bunch of tech prizes too for casting, costumes, and editing for a limited series, which cool. Now the other ones are all kind of scattered, because those are the ones that the only ones that really won multiple categories, other than some documentary stuff, and I'll cover those in a second too, just for a couple of notable wins for the shows that we don't watch regularly, like game shows and whatnot. But in terms of scripted shows, I'm gonna just scroll to the bottom here so you guys can see it. So stunts went to Barry for a comedy series, which, I mean, Cobra Kai probably could have competed in that one, but Barry's also got some good stunt work as well.
Yeah, agree.
I have to wonder, season 4, what stunt they would have featured for that one,
especially compared to the other seasons.
Yeah, it didn't really have that one shootout in the prison was kind of cool, but it wasn't nearly as technically impressive as the highway chase or anything that happened in Lily, whatever that episode was. The best episode of the show.
Yeah, agree that it's the best episode of the show. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, and also, to be fair, I'm also on the side of, I didn't think this season of Barry was great, but that's just
not the best finale, no.
No, I thought it started to tank near the halfway point when they did the time jump, and I'm just like, this should have been either its own season, or they should have had 3 more episodes.
I loved it from the meta-contextual narrative of how stories are told and how we can rewrite our own narratives.
But when people, that.
When people push me on, but do you believe any of those motivations are correct? Even Sally's? I'm like, well, no, but
no, it's the problem that how they got there wasn't convincing at all. Where I was like,
I was waiting for the show, and I guess we're going to go spoiler free, so I'll be vague as possible. I was waiting to find out why Sally was where she was in that time jump, and it never tells us.
Nope.
And I guess I just had to accept, I guess she just did that, and I agree that that's not very good, especially for a finale.
Well, and the thing they did with Jean's character, I'm like, how would anybody believe this? Like there's no way after everything that happened.
Mastermind criminal.
Yeah.
That the person who was even after him called him a sniveling coward that couldn't do anything. But also you did all this. Okay.
And that somehow even the one character who shouldn't believe that at all totally bought it. And I'm just like,
yeah.
Why did that happen? Anyway, sorry, I don't want to be just trash on it. The season had a few good episodes. I just didn't care for how it ended. But The Boys won for drama stunts, which, I mean, I fell off watching The Boys around second season, but I mean, it's a well-made show, so I'm not too surprised on that.
Yeah. I didn't know it was practical. So that's on me.
I mean, stunt work, I mean, obviously it probably considers CG stuff into it, but yeah, I mean, there is stunt work happening in The Boys still.
Well, no, and you're right. I always forget that a lot of the little things are actually the most dangerous stunts, like being shoved into a wall or thrown over something. So yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. The being blown up into chunky bits part's probably not a stunt work thing.
Yeah.
But then The Mandalorian won for stunt performance, which is a specific stunt thing that happens. So it's for episode 24, which I believe was the last episode of the season.
I don't think I finished the last season, actually.
This season sucked. It was not good at all. It's so boring. Nothing happens for huge chunks of it. And then once the Jack Black Lizzo episode happened, it's like, yep, nope, I'm good. I mean, I followed up and I found out what happened in the rest of the season. I'm just like, yeah, I didn't really miss anything.
I saw the finale because my kids love it and they just turn it on.
But that was finale, it just it felt so rushed where they're just like, and here's the setup for Ahsoka. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.
And also a show called Mandalorian where a different Mandalorian has pretty much become the new main character. I'm like,
well, I know a lot of the fans especially felt blindsided. I'm not too invested because you know me, I'm a bit wishy-washy with Star Wars stuff anyways. But 3 seasons in to suddenly be like, oh, you thought the Mandalorian was the Mandalorian. Well, it's actually
anyone could be the Mandalorian.
They went total Thor Ragnarok with it. It's a place, not a people.
They
So
went Last Jedi with it, with like anyone could be a Jedi.
yeah, as long as you know, carry the IP.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, no shade to the actress who played
she's a
Bo-Katan.
cool character, but
Yeah,
can't she have her own show called something else?
yeah. Why does she have to take over Pedro Pascal's season? I mean, I get it. He was busy with The Last of Us, but
He's so popular right now too, that actor.
yeah. I mean, I think he wanted to leave. It sounds like that might be the case.
Yeah,
So,
which is
um,
fine. Just call it something
interestingly,
else.
one of the visual effects winners here for outstanding visuals for a single episode is something called 5 Days at Memorial. Have you seen this at all?
I'm aware of it,
Yeah, it's
which is why I
John
haven't
Ridley.
seen it. It's too depressing.
Yeah, John Ridley and Carlton Cuse. I just didn't know that it was a show that had a lot of visual. Oh, because it's Hurricane Katrina, so that makes
Yeah,
sense. Okay,
it's a horrifying story that. Well, no, these stories deserve to be told, and
yeah,
more power to people who can watch them and not just feel crummy.
and sure,
I've been
John
in
Ridley.
a
Yeah,
yeah,
John
just
Ridley is the guy who wrote 12 Years a Slave, so
yeah.
he's got some
Again,
credit to
very
him.
very upsetting, very upsetting story.
Yeah,
Yes,
so no, that's cool. That's
I'll get
cool.
around to it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just never heard of it before. Now and I'm like, okay. Now interestingly, Ryan Reynolds' show about him and Rob McElhenney buying Wrexham Football Club won a bunch of Emmys, including Unstructured Reality Program, which cool.
It is
That's
cool, actually.
yeah.
Yeah, just a celeb with a hobby being lucrative about it in so many different ways, and I feel like it's kind of understated, but turning a football team around is kind of a big deal, and everyone's just kind of like, "But Ryan Reynolds is silly, and that's what matters." Like, no,
Well, the
they
fact that
like saved this football team. That's really cool.
sure, and the fact that they had two Canadian, sorry, actors specifically
Yeah,
coming
maybe
in
that's
and
why it's big
for
in
them
Canada.
taking a big football team, and it's like, well, who says that Canadians can't own a British football team? I mean,
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
a lot of international people buy football teams. Just there's been controversies about that too. But anyway,
Yes.
um, but then interestingly, again, like I said, so Daisy Jones and the Six won, I think, 2 awards for the night too, sound mixing, and then I wrote it down here, period costumes as well, which I don't know anything really about it, but I've heard it's good. So
Yeah, same. I've heard
yeah,
it's great. I just haven't seen it.
yeah, and the writer and creators are 2 alumni from my college at Syracuse University.
Cool.
Yeah, it's the guys who wrote The Disaster Artist, so they're kind of a
Oh, that was also a great one. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Let's see. Then Prey won 1 Emmy for sound editing, which the sound was good in it. So yeah, I'm not surprised.
Is Prey the movie with the Predator in it? Is that
Yes,
the Oh, okay.
because
Oh,
technically
cool.
it
Yeah.
never got a theatrical release, so it counts as a TV movie in the
That's
eyes of the
crazy it
academies.
didn't.
I know it. The
Yeah.
problem is that because of the Predator, the Shane Black Predator flopping so hard, they were unsure if people wanted to see another Predator
Oh, I
movie.
get it. Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
but I mean, this one seemed to be reviewed fairly better, and I think they're planning on another one.
That would be great. And if the same people could come back, what was that, a Trachtenberg movie?
Yeah, it's Dan Trachtenberg, which I mean,
I think I enjoy all of Trachtenberg's work so far, so I'd love
and
to
he
see
also
another
directed the
one.
pilot. He directed the pilot of The Boys too. So
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right.
yeah,
Yeah,
so he's a talented director. So let's see, skipping
enjoy
through
the
here
work.
because we covered a bunch of these ones. RuPaul's Drag Race won a bunch of categories as well, and I think RuPaul won for Best Host again. Um, the
Life
Michael J.
is
Fox
beautiful.
movie won a bunch of categories, and it won for Best Documentary for Television.
Awesome.
Yeah, hey, it's great. I mean,
Also a Canadian.
it's just great to see Michael J. Fox in anything,
Yeah,
honestly.
same. Agree.
Yeah, yeah, most of these again, it was just dominated by those few shows. Ted Lasso won 2 awards. One for original song for, I guess, the song that played at the end of the last episode by Emmy winner now Ed Sheeran.
He's going for that EGOT. Does he have an Oscar yet? I don't think
I don't
so.
think, yeah, he
But
does have a Tony Award. So
oh, of course.
yeah,
Yeah.
I want to see what the Ed Sheeran musical is like, or if he acts in a play. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
But then it also won for guest actor for Sam Richardson for the episode he showed up in. Do you know which character he was?
I don't.
Let's see. I had it up here. Here we go. He was the character Edwin Akufo in the episode International Break. He's this guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you've seen him before. He's been in he's been one of those guys who pops up in like everything lately. So let's see. Then the Weird Al movie won not only for original music for a limited or a movie series, so a limited series or a movie, it also won for best TV movie.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't love this movie as much as everyone else did, but you know, it is what it is. And the movie category was really weak this year, so it's like, well, it was going to be this or Prey, and people, I guess, wanted to go with Weird Al more than Prey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yes. So then moving up from there, Last of Us. Oh, Mrs. Maisel stole some. Well, stole it. It's a highly produced series, so of course it would get some recognition for tech. So it won for non-prosthetic makeup, and then I wrote it down here. It also won for hour-long cinematography for a series.
I haven't seen much of it, but my wife has seen every episode a couple times.
Yeah, I haven't watched the last season. I heard mostly good, if not great. Like not great as much as the first two seasons, but people said it was solid kind of thing. And it's
Is that
always been
also a final season?
yes, it also ended. The Emmys next year are going to be so weird because like half of these shows aren't coming back. So it looks like House of the Dragon, which, as I remember now, also won a costume award this year. Is probably going to be uncontested for a lot of categories next year.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Miss Marvel won an award for outstanding motion design, whatever that means.
I don't know. I
I'm
suppose
assuming
when
it's some other technical innovation. I'm assuming,
is
but I'm
like
like,
past winners that can give us an idea.
yeah, I'm looking at them right now. Okay, here we go. Motion design. Oh, like motion graphics, essentially. So I guess that makes sense with all the like word bubbles and like little stuff that was appearing on Miss Marvel. I didn't know we were giving out awards for that category.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on from there, Queen Charlotte won for period hairstyling. I mean, not too surprising, honestly.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live won obviously some directing prizes for their stuff. So, I mean, it's really just
As
not
always.
surprising anymore.
Yeah.
The Great won a costume award, which it's also its last season. So
Yeah. Were you not a big fan of The Great or Dickinson?
I was the
forget.
minority. I did not care for the show at all. So
Okay.
it's weird. Like it feels like it should be up my alley because I like what Tony McNamara does as a writer, but
Mhm.
it felt like it was all of his worst tendencies just kind of let loose. You know, we're just like, oh, it's a period piece. Everyone says the F word a lot. It has sex and does drugs and drinks for every episode.
And it's super goofy though, so that's fun.
But that's what kind of killed me a bit is that it tried to take itself seriously and yet also not take itself seriously at all. So it
Nicholas
kind of
Holt is in this, right?
yes, which now he's free to do whatever else he
I actually
wants.
actually really liked his performance in The Great.
The actors were fine. Like all of them were acting the parts well. My problems were just with the writing and the directing of the
I never
show.
took any of it seriously, and I think if you do, you probably would hate it.
Well, and the problem is too is that I binged it all in one sitting. So I think
Dang.
yeah, it started to grate on well because I
Sure.
jumped onto the review late because they gave us review copies when I was still
Oh,
reviewing this
okay.
stuff, and so I did a marathon through it. I'm just like, I want to freaking kill this show. Seriously. It was just bugging the heck out of me. Blackbird won a cinematography award. Woo!
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
I
which
was thinking the Walter Paulhauser, or is it Paul Walter Hauser?
well, so they haven't announced the big category, so he's probably going to win next week. So.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, like, that's like a transcendent performance from a guy who always seems to show up and steal all the scenes he's in.
Well,
So
that's
I'm
the
really
thing is
rooting
that
for him.
he gets typecast so easily as funny fat guys or creepy fat dudes because
Yeah.
he's a big boy. But this and Richard Jewell really showed that he has a lot of acting range outside of his stereotype. You know, so I'm good
Yeah.
for him. But
Agree.
yeah, it's weird. The series got kind of shafted for awards. Only got nominated for like 4, but they were the awards that mattered, kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you think it's because of the icky subject matter? I always call it that icky because it's
I don't know. Yeah,
crime, and
it's hard to say.
nobody wants to celebrate crime unless oh, what's his name? Ryan Murphy's attached, it seems.
Yeah, which Dahmer went empty-handed in the tech categories. So, oh well.
Yeah. Womp
Atlanta
womp.
also won a cinematography award for its final season too, which I
Oh,
think
that's
that
good. I enjoy Atlanta a lot.
yeah, I think that's 3 cinematography wins for that show. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean, to be fair, it has some good looking episodes. Like, you know, the one that everyone talks about, the not Michael Jackson episode That
Hmm.
was a
Hmm.
really good looking show. I mean,
Yeah.
episode, like just that everything they did there. But yeah, Mandalorian really didn't. I mean, only won that one stunt prize. It really fell off this season. My goodness. Let's see. Oh, interesting thing, Blind Spotting, that TV show won a choreography award.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I watched Blind Spotting. It does have a lot of interesting, almost like flash mob performances that
I
interrupt the
figured that was
scene and start doing these incredible interpretive dances of the emotion that's happening in the scene.
I
Which at
figured that was
first I
kind of
thought
the thing.
was pretentious, but after like episode 3, I was like, dang, this is a really good setup to how we should all be feeling about this. I love it.
Yeah. Well, and I know that was a thing where when they did the movie, like all the rap stuff that they were doing there, like their
Yeah,
interpretive rap sequences, that makes sense. That kind of jives with what they're doing here, it sounds like. So
exactly. Yeah.
that's good.
And it
Hey,
has an amazing, incredible Paddington shout out that I'm not gonna
it's
spoil. But if anybody loves Paddington, like I say with that Nick Cage movie about his own life, you really need to see
oh, the
the first
extraordinary
season of
being
Blind
of
Spotting. Yeah,
yeah,
that is a
whatever.
great Paddington shout out as well. So
Let's see. So then Beef, Bear, White Lotus, Last of Us. Only Murders in the Building won a production design award, which it does have very good sets in that show, to be fair. So another thing that has great sets, even though it's not a great show, is Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities, which won for production design. I I watched up to like episode 4 or 5, I think. The one where they do the autopsy episode. And
hmm.
I was just like, I like this show. I don't love it enough to keep watching it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I can just I didn't see any of it.
Yeah, but it is a really good looking show because it's Guillermo del Toro producing, so of course it's good looking. But yeah, the episode, probably the best episode of the whole season was the autopsy, where it's F. Murray Abraham as a surgeon, where they find a dead body that is actually infected with an alien parasite in it.
Cool.
Oh yeah, it's a great episode. It's pretty freaky, and it is a show. I will say that it's nice to see a show that actually has dark endings to it, where it's like not everything ends happy for the main characters. So. Moving on, though, they gave out the juried animation prizes as well for individual achievement. So Intergalactic was up there, which I haven't seen the show, but I know people really like it. So, and then More Than I Want to Remember. I have no idea what that is. The Simpsons episode Lisa the Boy Scout was up for this, and then Star Wars Visions got one as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
Screecher's Reach is fun.
yeah, I haven't seen that one, but I know it's a good looking like Vision seems like one of those like experimental shows where just like, hey, it doesn't matter if it's canonical or not, just make a Star Wars story.
Yeah, and they're fun. They're fun
Yeah,
and short, and a lot of them seem like pitches for bigger shows. Is what's fun
yeah.
about it as
Heck, they
well.
have one that's a furry episode with a bunny who becomes a Jedi. So I think that's what it was. I just remember that everyone shared pictures of the rabbit one. I'm like, well, I guess they introduced frogs in Mandalorian, so rabbits, why not? Anyways,
Exactly.
outstanding host for a game show went to Kiki Palmer for Password. That was kind of surprising.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a game show right now.
Yeah, I guess they revived Password without anyone really knowing or caring very much. But it's interesting how she beat out, Pat Sajak, who's a legend, and
Yeah,
Steve Harvey, who is also on Jeopardy. I mean, Family Feud. He's funny. But then she beat out the two Jeopardy hosts, which was kind of surprising.
so they probably split the vote. I guess.
Yeah. Well, now Mian Bialik is leaving the show, so it's just going to be
Hmm.
Ken Jennings from this point forward, it seems like. I mean, honestly, I know Ken Jennings has been kind of waffling like, oh, I don't know. Should I keep hosting Jeopardy or not? Who better to replace Alex Trebek than someone like Ken Jennings, straight laced Mormon dude, one of the biggest winners in Jeopardy history? It seems right up his alley.
The only thing I could think of is whether or not, just like when he was a contestant, that he just has the passion for it. Because a lot of
That's
people believe the reason he lost is because he didn't want to win anymore.
Well, he got tired of it. He was on there for like 150
It
episodes or
was
something like
over a
that.
year. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was well over a year he was on there.
So I think also like he's gotten good reception so far as a host, other than his questions getting kind of like, okay, people have said the questions gotten harder in Jeopardy. I think the contestants are just dumber. There's some episodes where I see them and they miss really, really easy questions. I'm just like, I got
Yeah,
that.
it could be a
How did you?
generational thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So It's always the funniest when it's something that's clearly not in that generation gap, where they're like, "Pokemon is this name? What is the
Yeah.
name of this Pokemon?" And everyone's just like,
SpongeBob?
um, Maya Rudolph won for voicing in Big Mouth again.
She's always winning for that. I love that character, but duplicate winners are just kind of dull for me.
And it's also just Big Mouth, which is just.
It's been on for so long. Everyone thought it was over, and it's still not over.
I know it's going on for more seasons. I'm just like, why? Why is this
Let
show
me
still
see.
going on?
Yeah, just looking at
I even
these.
thought
I
some
probably would have
episodes.
picked Ali Wong myself because I
Yeah.
liked her performance in Tuga and Birdie.
Oh, sure. I mean, any one of these people would be good. I mean,
Yeah,
what History of the World Part 2? I heard it was not very good, but it's Mel Brooks, and Mel Brooks is funny to listen to. So,
yeah, 100%.
oh well. And then Barack Obama is outstanding narrator, which sure,
That's
okay.
peculiar.
And Barack Obama is less a president and more a celebrity now than he ever was. I feel like
It's
because
especially
this
in
thing,
this producer type of thing. I'm
yeah,
surprised
all he
Pedro
does now is
Pascal
produce.
didn't win.
He gets Oscars and Emmys for documentaries and TV shows that he does. That's pretty
Yeah,
much all he does now.
it's peculiar. Well, I guess you need a hobby when you retire.
I know, and he was president for how long? So he's just like, all right, I got all the money
Yeah,
and power I need. I'll just
yeah,
make TV
let's go
shows until I
produce
die.
Netflix stuff. Part of
Yep.
the algorithm.
I don't know much about the short form categories to talk much about him, but I know everyone loves Tim Robinson's I Think You Should Leave, and he won for that. So cool. That's awesome.
Mhm.
And then I've never heard of the Chronicles of Jessica Wu, so
Same.
pass.
No idea. Yeah.
Now here's an interesting thing too. I started watching Poker Face finally. That show's great. It's really funny.
Yeah, I loved Poker Face. It made my top 10. I only do new TV shows for my top 10,
Hmm.
but it's still on there, and I very much enjoyed it.
And it's funny because I literally just watched the episode that Judith Light won for as the Emmys were being announced and she won.
Mhm.
Because she plays you know the episode, right? Where it's her and Esipartha Murkison, where they're the crazy hippie ladies in the retirement home.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was the episode's story is completely ridiculous and outlandish, but they were really funny in that episode. like Judith Light was just a force to behold as a guest actress in that one. So
No,
I'm happy. This
100%.
this
Yeah.
is totally a deserved win, in my opinion. So
And with so many incredible guest stars on Poker Face, I think they made the right choice with this one,
yeah,
as difficult as it must have been.
I'm shocked at how many top tier actors they keep getting, like
Right?
Adrian Brody, Joseph Gordon. I mean, well, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was going to show up anyway since it's Ryan Johnson. he
Yeah. I didn't
he
even know
literally,
Nick Nolte still acted, and he
yeah,
even
Nick
showed up.
Nolte, Tim Blake Nelson. Like, I mean, Poker Face literally is modern day Columbo. That's just
Yeah.
what it is. It's a chance to give a great actress a leading role, and then a bunch of older actors get spots. It's just Columbo for modern day,
Mhm.
even down to the title sequences. Which, yeah, it's a great show. Great show. Okay, so then just wrap up quickly for the Emmys, and we can go to Globes. That a bunch of short categories won, including I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson won, which everyone seems to like that show. So maybe I should actually watch an episode or something like that. I don't watch enough of these shows to really care, but I do like that the Michael J. Fox one won, like I said.
Mhm.
And then the big ones, other than Jeopardy winning for a game show, is The Simpsons winning for animated series again.
And it's a good special.
Yeah, I mean,
Treehouse of Horror 33. There's
yep.
a David Fincher parody. Oh no, was this the one I'm thinking of? Oh, this
No,
was last year's.
so it's the Babadook episode and the Death
Yeah,
Note
The
episode and Westworld.
Babadook, the how am I forgetting? Death Note parody. The Death Note parody is wonderful, and I don't know if it's an urban legend, but people who worked on Death Note actually got involved
So it's
to
the
create it. Is
studio.
that true?
The same studio that animated Death Note is involved in animating it.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's wonderful.
yeah. But then yeah, it's just interesting. And then they brought in, I mean, yeah, they got the Babadook parody one they did, and then this one sounded, I heard someone describe this part because I only saw the Death Note segment, but the Westworld segment where it's essentially a meta commentary on The Simpsons itself kind of
Yeah.
thing. And then where they freaking meet Linda from Bob's Burgers at the end of the episode, which is kind of funny. You know, I'm just like,
my favorite joke from this one is they're escaping the theme park. The sentient Simpsons characters, Marge, Lisa, Bart, Homer, and Maggie. And Bart's like, "We're supposed to act like we're in a show. So everyone say your catchphrases. Don't have a cow, man." And Homer goes, "Don't." And Marge goes, dinner's ready.
I know they were trying to pass off the as their catchphrase, but you can't
Yeah.
really. Well, because they did that joke in the one where Bart did the "I didn't do it" episode, where they had
Oh, yeah,
everyone
yeah,
do their
yeah.
catchphrase. They get Lisa, and she's just like,
That's right.
"I'm leaving." Yeah, so that was the Creative Art Emmys. Mostly I did this so we can shorten next week's recording, but
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's a solid list. I mean, it's a shame Succession didn't get anything, but it's going to probably dominate the bigger categories next week.
Yeah, more than likely.
Oh yeah. So now Golden Globes. So the reason we talked about the creative arts is because they happened at the same time as the Golden Globes, because they did one yesterday and then the rest of them they aired while the Golden Globes were airing too, which is interesting. So I'm just like, okay, on one wiki page I'm following the Emmys and then I'm watching the Golden Globes on my TV. So that's something. Best stand-up performance, which was a new category introduced, went to Ricky Gervais. Interestingly,
I must not have seen this. I must not have
yeah,
seen that one.
it's his Armageddon special on Netflix, which I haven't seen that either. It was funny because I literally just said, "Wouldn't it be funny if Ricky Gervais won since he used to host the Golden Globes?" And then they announced him winning, and
And
I'm
then
like,
they got mad at him. They renounced him. Yeah.
"Well, he didn't even show up to this episode." It's just
It's
like, whatever. That would have
crazy.
been
They're all
funnier because
Netflix. Yeah, except Sarah Silverman. They're all Netflix specials.
I mean, Netflix is kind of the big hub right now for stand-up comedians. Their Netflix is a joke brand.
Hmm.
It's paid
Yeah, I
off really
thought
well for
Chris
them.
Rock was going to win because,
Yeah, I
well,
did too.
that, okay, full disclosure, that's the only one I saw.
Yeah. Well, it's the one that most people saw because it was such a huge deal
Mhm.
after the whole Oscars thing. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Best supporting actor went to Matthew McFadden, Fadian, sorry. I mean, honestly, he was one of the standout performances this season, so not surprised at all.
Yep. Picked him to win as well. I've been a huge fan of his since he was Mr. Darcy on Joe Wright's Pride and Prejudice.
He's one of my favorite Darcys, other than Colin Firth. So
Yeah. Same. Yeah.
yeah. And then Elizabeth Debicki for The Crown, which I know people are very split on this last season of The Crown, but everyone seems to like Elizabeth Debicki in the show. So
No, 100%. And I also picked her to win because my mother in law, who loves The Crown, says she's like the best Princess Diana she's ever seen.
mhm.
So naturally, my mother in law has great taste. So I ended up winning that category. Haha, kids.
Yeah, I mean, it was gonna be a hard choice no matter what, just because all those are good nominees. But she honestly probably, I mean, it's Elizabeth Debicki. She's paid, she's done her time. She's owed, kind of thing. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
best actor in a limited series went to Stephen Yeun for Beef, and actress went to Ali Wong for Beef. Spoilers: Beef swept the limited category pretty much
Hmm.
because it won the lead actor prizes and the limited series prize. So, not surprising at all. It's going to sweep the Emmys too, I think.
I think
For
so
the
too. And they
event
both
category.
gave great speeches. Stephen Yuan also just cracking off the cuff a Frozen joke that worked. Very
Oh my gosh, I
funny.
totally forgot to mention something that was crazy about the Golden Globes ceremony. The layout for the seating. Like everybody was having a hard time weaving through all the chairs and tables to get to the stage because they put the stairs on the opposite side in the back of the stage. So poor Stephen Yan and a bunch of other people were having a hard time getting to the stage. I totally forgot to mention
Yeah,
that.
it was
That was
embarrassing to
nuts.
watch.
And correct me if I'm wrong, there was a bunch of other technical problems with the ceremony too, right? Like
Yeah.
at one point when Elizabeth Debicki won, the sound was like cranked up in the audience because they cut off the presenters, and Elizabeth Debicki just like a whoo because they were just shouting at them like Elizabeth Debicki.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was not expecting that because they were just all watching the ceremony and just like oh the host, okay.
Yeah.
And then at some point somebody like dropped a beer bottle and you could hear it rolling in while they were presenting an award. That was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some weird stuff going on with the ceremony this year. And also the fact that, I talked about Jo Koy at the beginning. They must have seen how much he bombed because he didn't tell like any jokes after the opening monologue. He barely
Hmm.
showed up for the rest of the show.
Which
Um,
was peculiar. Yeah.
and honestly, it's peculiar, and it was absolutely the right call. I have never seen a comedian commit career suicide so quickly like Jo Koy just did.
Hopefully the gift basket was worth it.
Yeah, the $500,000 gift basket.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You could like feed people with that money, but no, we need to give
Yeah.
expensive prizes to these
A
already
last
well
minute host.
paid. Yeah, yeah. All because he literally just said yes. They're like, oh, good. Here's $1 million worth of jewelry and prizes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Best actor in a comedy series and actress in a comedy series went to Jeremy Allen White and Iowa DeBerry for The Bear. Which, yeah, they were both awesome. Like,
Agree. Love that show. Glad
yeah.
everyone's watching it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I still have a few episodes left to finish of The Bear, but honestly, it was just so good. It's just yeah. The problem is the reason why I haven't finished it because that Christmas episode broke me so hard. I just needed to take a breather. I'm like,
yeah, I get
oh,
it.
that was exhausting to watch in a good way, but oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, then best performance in a drama series, Kieran Culkin and Sarah Snook for Succession. I'm just gonna tell you, the Emmys are gonna be some very clear sweeps for a select few shows. It feels like.
Now, do you think that it's like a meta commentary that those two Roy children won, but not first and best boy?
Well, Jeremy Strong already won an Emmy, so I mean, and it's his time's passed on that one kind of thing. And I say that in the sense that Kieran Culkin really stepped up this season, like compared.
And I can agree with that as well.
Yeah, like he had some of his best acting moments in the entire show in the season. Like,
I mean, as
the funeral episode was like some of his
right,
best
being as vague as possible. I've in my real life occupation, it's life insurance, and I've talked to people who, as grown adults, have behaved in such a way when they realize that their parents or progeny have passed, and I was very moved and shocked by that stunning performance.
Oh yeah, I mean, did you ever see someone do that bit where they're like, "Can we get him out of the coffin?"
Yeah. We can't put dad or mom in a box. I've heard lots of times. It's like, well, there's cremation because that's what you move on to. And then you realize, like, that's not what they mean. That's
no, exactly.
yeah.
And then Sarah Snook, it was some of her best acting she's ever done, and promoting her to lead actress.
She's always been great too. I wasn't surprised to hear that this is her second one, if I'm not wrong. But
I think she might have won supporting at the Globes, but she hasn't won an Emmy yet.
oh no.
Well, she's going to. I mean, honestly, of all the people who are competing at the Emmys,
like, don't worry about it. She's got this.
No, seriously, like of all the people competing at the Emmys, everyone's predicting her to win handily. So, I mean, she had some of her best work this season too. So
yeah.
And then, like I said, Beef won for limited series, Succession won for drama, Bear won for comedy. It was just those three shows dominated in the TV categories. So I'm gonna suspect we're gonna see a repeat at the Emmys for a lot of this. So
yeah, same.
Yeah. But well deserved. I mean, I know you aren't as crazy about the last season Succession as everyone else, but it wasn't my favorite finale, but it was a really great last season.
It was one of the better finales, I'm willing to admit. For me, the issue was season 1, I don't care who gets the company. That's not why I'm watching. I could care less.
Yeah.
But I know that's absurd to say when that's the premise of the show and this is the final season.
It's the Game of Thrones problem that at some point the show has evolved past its original premise.
Right.
I feel like
I think this one has or did as well. And
yeah, and I felt like that was why I didn't love this finale as much as the Better Call Saul finale, because it felt like there was still some.
Really
well, yeah, because that one wrapped up everything, like the Better Call Saul finale. This one left a bunch of stuff unresolved, and I feel like honestly, maybe Jesse Armstrong's going to move on to other things.
Yeah,
I feel like there could be one more Succession movie, like just a last movie, bring the actors together who are still alive in the show, and just have them do a little wrap up to end the arc for the characters, because it felt like there's still a few things that like it could have had another episode. It could have had another thing said, you know.
Some of those final shots are like, ooh.
Well, I mean, well, for Jeremy Strong's character especially, you're just like, I can't see where this is going for him, but it's probably not going to end very well.
No, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, finally, film categories. So original score went to Oppenheimer. Spoiler: Oppenheimer is going to show up a lot on this list.
Yeah, I want to say that not the biggest Oppenheimer fan, but I picked that score to win.
Oh,
incredible score! I've watched essays on that score because of how perfect it is. You can watch those too on Nebula if you subscribe. And like I am moved and just blown away by how perfect that score is. But yes.
Oh yeah, no, it's a great score. And the original song went to What I Was Made For from Billie Eilish and Barbie, which,
I assumed that would win too, but only because she's a darling of the award season, and it's a very emotional song.
yep, and because the competition's been so weak this year for
I
original
can't think
songs.
of any other song, honestly.
Well, like even like this is the like other than the Peaches song, and I don't even know what She Came to Me is that movie. But the
Yeah,
other
not
four
sure.
are pretty much expected to be on the Oscar nominations. Like even the Rustin song, I don't even think they're all like they're not bad songs, but none of them are like, oh yeah, that one obviously deserves to win. To
Sure.
me at least. Like honestly, my favorite of these ones was that Dance the Night Away song because it's just so catchy.
Yeah, I can agree with that, and it has
Yeah.
such a fun record scratch in it too. I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
such having a fun time. Do any of
well,
you ever think about dying?
Well, and even like when I saw that was Mark Ronson who did that and the I'm Just Ken song, I'm like, oh, that makes sense because Mark Ronson's like one of our best songwriters in the industry. So
Mhm.
yeah, he just does really
Okay.
good, catchy pop music, you know. One surprise I did have is that Anatomy of a Fall won for screenplay this year.
Now, I'm not surprised by that, but I've also seen it. Let me see what else is on here
Well, I
again.
mean, yes, I haven't seen Anatomy of the Fall because unfortunately it was only in my theater for like a week. But just the fact that Oppenheimer was kind of expected to sweep more, and then it's like, nope, this one totally came out of nowhere to win.
Is Oppenheimer a good screenplay? And I'm asking this by someone who's only read like 2 or 3 screenplays my entire life, and also I couldn't if you asked me, "Oh, is this a good screenplay?" after I've watched a movie, I'd be like, "I don't know." I
Well,
really enjoyed the dialogue. Is that what the question is? But I know a screenplay is so much more than that.
writing really accounts for not just dialogue writing, but story structure and
Right.
pacing and that stuff. I mean, part of that's directing too, but you can tell from the way a movie is structured how the script is too. Oppenheimer is a great adaptation of the book because it condenses so much information so coherently to the audience. Because there's so much to cover in the Oppenheimer. I mean, the American Prometheus book that's based on.
Sure, it's like the size of a brick. I
Oh
hear
yeah,
you.
it's a phone book more or less, and he
Yeah.
managed to not just cover like in a coherent way, along
Hmm.
with not just the actual text, like what was in there, but the way that he did the dual narrative of like jumping back and forth in time, or well, I guess triple narrative if you count all the different time periods they cover. He made it work so coherently both through his directing and his writing, kind of thing.
So would
But
Anatomy and Oppenheimer both be adapted or
no, Anatomy is an original screenplay.
wow. Wow.
Well, so that was a big thing. I don't know if you heard the news that Barbie got pushed out of original screenplay because it's technically considered adapted now since it's
Right,
based,
because it's a
based
Mattel product. Yeah.
yeah. So I think it's going to help Anatomy of the Fall possibly win the original screenplay unless someone
Oh,
else gets it.
100%.
Well,
That
it's either going to
it's
be
such an
Anatomy
incredible
or
story.
either Anatomy or the Holdovers will win original
Yeah.
screenplay.
Oh,
I feel.
I really liked Holdovers also, though. That's a
Oh,
tough choice.
maybe we should do an Oscar predictions
Yeah.
once we get closer to
I'm
nomination
so
season.
bad at those, but yes, I'm down.
Yeah, we'll see. But yes, then Christopher Nolan won for director, which that was not surprising. He was pretty much predicted to win throughout the entire
Yeah,
season.
I picked him to win as well.
I mean, I mean, it's interesting to see the people that are nominated because hey, it's good to see two ladies on the directing list here.
Yeah.
I don't think Greta Gerwig should get a nomination for the Oscar. Like, if anything, I would rather see Justine Triet or Celine Song get nominated for their movies.
Yeah,
But
I enjoyed Celine Song's direction as well from
yeah,
past
the problem
lives.
is that Greta Gerwig has the bigger name, so it's
Well,
probably
yeah.
sure. But Yorgos
That's true.
Lanthimos, I thought he did a good job directing Poor Things. Poor Things was a lot to process, but it was a
That's
well
one I
done
haven't
movie.
seen yet, yeah.
Yeah. Kills the Flower Moon, it's Scorsese, and he directed it really well.
Yeah, also haven't
Um,
seen that yet. Damn.
the one I don't agree with at all, I freaking did not like Maestro at all.
I didn't care for my story. After the 50s sequence, I was just so bored the whole movie.
It's I've never seen a biographical movie built on small talk. Like every dialogue scene is just chit chat. Like it doesn't tell you anything about, like I get they want to make it naturalistic and they feel into the characters, but the dialogue was just so inconsequential that I couldn't care about the story after a certain point. And also it would teach such huge jumps, like just skipping over huge segments of his life where I'm like, maybe they should have like narrowed the focus down a bit more. Like either talk about his early days doing musical theater or talk about his later period. But
Right.
they wanted this sweeping epic thing about his bisexuality that I'm just like, I'd
Well,
stop.
we
Yeah,
know
it's
he's
not
a
fair.
great composer because we're told. We don't actually get to see
Well, we hear some of his
much of
pieces, I
that.
mean, a bunch of his pieces throughout, and they're all great music, but it doesn't seem to actually be like it's a movie about what a great composer he is, how gay he was, as well as being how straight he was, and all the stuff with his family and all the stuff here. It's got too much it's trying to cover.
Oh, okay.
I feel at least. I feel it's covering way
Yeah.
too much in this movie. And Bradley Cooper just didn't know how to balance it, which is weird because he did such a great job with Star is Born, you know?
Yeah. I really enjoyed A Star Is Born as well. Well, I
Yeah.
kind of buzzkilled it myself because between Lenny and his wife, was it Felicia? I mean,
I don't remember.
consenting adults, that's their business. And that was my
Sure.
attitude. And my wife was all like, well, you're going to hate this if you, because that's the whole catalyst of the movie is the conflicts of their relationship. And I'm
Well,
like,
but
nah,
also the fact that
it's their business. You know,
it's treated so lightly.
it
Like,
is.
okay, did you know that he had a lot of affair with men? I'm like, cool. What else?
Mhm.
No, that's it. Oh, well, I could have just read
Yeah,
Wikipedia
that's a
article.
Hollywood star for you. Am I right?
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
celebrity. And the film's all like, well, it's super duper serious. And I'm like, are you going to treat it serious? And they're like, not really.
I felt like they got enamored by the whole thing of Leonard Bernstein was bisexual. That's as far as the thought process went about whether the movie was worth actually telling, you
Yeah.
know? So
Yeah.
anyway, oh
Anyways,
well. That's just my opinion. I didn't think it was great. So
same.
okay, so one of two wins for the holdovers. Divine Joy Randolph won for supporting actress, which yeah, she was great in that
Kind
movie.
of a lock, you think, for the rest of the season?
She's top predicted for quite a few races right now. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
haven't seen Color Purple yet. I
I
did
haven't
see
either.
Jodie
Like
Foster in Nyad, and I enjoyed it. Julianne Moore was too scary for May December, so she's like the Ralph Fiennes in Schindler's List nominee. Like that was
wow.
amazing, but we can't you can't win. That was just too much. Rosamund Pike
Yeah.
and Saltburn, I guess.
I mean, I feel like there's a few people that this is ignoring because there's I know Emily Blunt's been a
Mhm.
huge lock, even though like
Sure.
it's one of those things where I agree she wouldn't win, but she, she was good in it. So I
And
have
it
to
is a
explain.
supporting role. It's a pure supporting role, so that's
Oh
good to
yeah.
see.
Well, that's the same with Divine Joy Randolph. Where people are like, why is she in the lead category? I'm like,
Yeah,
hey,
I
she is
even
the
said
most
that. Yeah.
because she's the most prominent woman in the
Mhm.
cast, but she's not the lead character.
And I
She's
understand what you mean by that, and I
yeah.
appreciate the explanation.
Yeah, because I mean, she's only in it for like compared to Dominic Sessa and Paul Giamatti, she's only in it for a fraction of
Right.
the time in comparison. So
Yeah.
yeah. But also supporting performance, but also great. Robert Downey Jr. winning for Oppenheimer, which yes,
Okay,
I
let
predicted
me
that
just
too.
take a look at this one again. I always complain about the 3rd act, but I think I would choose this to win if it was up to me and I was actually on a
Well, because he
voting
has
board.
so many big Oscar moments in that movie, like just all of
Right,
his big
exactly.
speeches and
And
everything
he's good
else.
through the whole thing as well.
Yeah. But I mean, to be fair, supporting actors are a really tough category because
Yeah.
we got some people like Willem Dafoe was great, Mark Ruffalo was great. I haven't seen May December, but everyone talks about how great Charles Melton is in that film.
No, yeah, he's pretty amazing in it.
Yeah, Robert De Niro, he was really solid in that movie. Like I wouldn't say like best De Niro performance ever, but it was a really strong performance from him.
Yeah.
Um, and freaking Ryan Gosling as Ken, that's still
It's
just
cool to see a comedic performance getting so much supporting love too.
I know I'm shocked that might actually be a thing that happens of Oscar nominee Ryan Gosling for playing Ken in the Barbie
Yes.
movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be fair, he probably was my favorite performance in the whole film. Like he was just for being the butt of the joke in so many scenes.
Mhm.
Dude's funny. He's a
And
really
he was the
funny
funniest Ken too out of all of them.
actor. But he's just Ken.
Yeah.
I'm just Ken.
Once it once I figured out it wasn't all about horses, I lost interest is a profound statement.
See, that's the thing. Like, even when that second act started to lose me in Barbie, because I mean, spoiler, I wasn't in love with Barbie. I didn't hate
Mhm.
it, but I thought it was fine. But he
Yeah.
was carrying me through a lot of it in the second act. So,
Well, he has such good comedic timing in The Wise Guys too. I hope he does more comedies.
the nice guys.
The Nice Guys, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. No, but he's proven to be a funny actor. I mean, even in some
Yeah.
of his drama films, he has great comedic timing. So, best actress went to Emma Stone for Poor Things, which, yeah, wow, she is amazing in Poor Things.
I
So,
haven't seen Poor Things. I'm watching The Curse, and I think she might be the Meryl Streep of that generation, whatever
she's up.
generation she's from. She's
I mean, she's already
incredible.
an Oscar winner, so
Yeah.
she's really showing that she
And
has heart.
I loved Birdman. I know a lot of people hate Birdman, but I thought she was gonna
Do
win for that because
Who
her
hates Birdman? I like
so many
Birdman.
people hate Birdman that I know. When she calls
Ugh.
out her father for being selfish, that and maybe it was because I was a new father at the time and I did selfish things. That like shook me to my core, and I was like, "Wow, the girl from Easy A that made us laugh is kind of the best actress right
I was
now."
thinking the girl from Superbad is an Oscar winner.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh yeah, that one who got her head bonked into by Jonah Hill. It's
yeah,
like, oh yeah, who would have thought her being a potential double Oscar winner?
that's
uh,
amazing.
but
Yeah,
then that's the same thing as like, who would have thought we'd ever say two-time Academy Award nominee Jonah Hill also.
right.
And then Paul Giamatti won for The Holdovers, which I mean, he was great. It was so good to see him in that movie. So
Yeah, I actually love all these performances too. Haven't seen Joaquin Phoenix in Beau is Afraid, but
I'm I'm too
I've never
intimidated by
not
that
liked a
movie.
Joaquin Phoenix movie. I've never not liked a performance, I mean, of Joaquin Phoenix, so
Yeah,
I
I'm
need to
too
write.
intimidated by Beau is Afraid because I didn't like Midsommar. I was like in the minority of
Is
that
it
one
3
too.
hours as well as
Yes,
like
that's the other
Midsummer?
reason. It's
Okay,
a 3 hour
yeah.
movie that's super weird. Like it is I saw Elvis the Alien summation of the plot, and it is a surreal head trip of a movie. So
Okay. I'll check
yeah,
it out eventually
yeah.
on
Even
my
the ending,
Canopy
it's very
app.
much a well, you decide what happened in that ending kind
Oh,
of thing.
no.
Yeah. Oh no, seriously, like it's one of those ones where it happened and they don't explain it. It's just over when it happens. You're just like, oh, hmm. I will
Womp
say
womp.
this: it's not as straightforward as Midsommar. So, but that's also
Yeah, that
a
definitely isn't.
backhanded compliment. It's like, oh yeah, Midsommar. Everyone pretended how deep that movie was, and I thought it was really not very smart at all. But this one is like, well, this one's not straightforward.
I just thought it was re and I think Lexi agreed with me. I get the seriousness of what's going on because of the violence, but it's funny. It's a funny movie, and I
Oh,
know that
Midsommar.
probably
Yeah.
makes me sound crazy, but,
No, I think
there's so
Midsommar
much
is just
humor in how ridiculously, abrasive this cult is. No
yeah,
spoilers, sorry, but yeah,
yeah. I thought that it
the
just had a very
polite
flawed.
people got punished worse, dude.
Yeah,
Isn't that bonkers?
it had a very flawed premise, in my opinion,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
not a
yeah,
very
yeah.
well thought out one. And then finally, the last few categories here for best drama, lead actor in a drama series went to lead actress was Lily Gladstone in Killers of Flower Moon. She absolutely was the best performance in the whole movie, so absolutely, totally deserved it.
See, I've seen all of these except Kaylee Spaney and Lily Gladstone, so I felt left out when she
Oh,
won,
have you
but
seen
I've
her
heard
yet?
nothing but amazing things. I saw Lily Gladstone perform in Reservation Dogs, and she's incredible in
Oh,
that.
right, yeah, she showed up
So
in
I'm
that.
not surprised at all that she's incredible in a movie. So
Well,
there
I
there
know
it
that she
is.
had her big breakout in First Cow and Certain Women because Kelly Reichardt really discovered her.
Yeah,
And
people loved First Cow. I remember that. That's an
yeah,
A24 picture as well, isn't it?
I believe so, yeah. But then, I mean, it's probably, I mean, it was going to be either her or Sandra Hüller, probably, because she, like, for a while, Sandra Hüller was a top seeded nomination choice. But then
Mhm.
Emma Stone and Lily Gladstone came to the picture and kind of unseated her.
Yeah.
So,
And Sandra Hüller's great in Anatomy of a Fall.
oh, yeah.
It's just a wound up, anxious. It's such a great film. It's a film you have to see to talk about
Hmm.
'cause I don't think a lot of people take so much away from it, and they have a right to, because it's about so many things. For me, what makes it such an amazing film is how I know my life would be torn to shreds by little things that I've done,
Hmm.
online even, if I was a witness or a part of a criminal investigation.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I could see lawyers in this town be like, "Oh, you do a podcast with an American, Justin Zarian, his name is? Zarian kinda sounds like a cult name, doesn't it?" And I'd be like, "What?" And they'd be like, "A violent American too, huh? Where is he from?" And I'd
Oh,
be
that
like,
Armenian sounding last name. How can you trust a
right,
person with a
exactly, and
foreign
my
name?
lawyer would be like, relevance to the case," and the other lawyer would be like, "Oh, there's relevance," and I'd be all like, "He's a good guy," and then that lawyer would then say, "He just admitted that violent Americans are good people." And it's a movie like that, and it's so good.
Oh,
I
yeah.
really hope people watch it and enjoy it. I know a lot of people are turned off by French films because 'cause they're, everyone
But
gets
it's
the
not,
idea that
I mean,
you
it is a French movie, but I feel it's a little more
it's
accessible than that, too.
right, like you
Yeah.
smoke a cigarette and be like, "Life,
Yeah, when
like
we say
that's
French
the
film, we're not talking about like a Jean-Luc Godard film, not that French.
right, exactly.
We're not talking about like The Illusionist, which is a great movie itself too, but the animated Illusionist one,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
like
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
great movie,
yeah.
but it's also very French as well. So,
But no,
but yeah,
I'm
no,
looking forward to Lily Gladstone, just knowing that she beat out Sandra Hüller. Oh, and Emma Stone in, Poor Things. I'll need to watch both of those.
honestly, it's going to be a huge like head-to-head race between Lily Gladstone and Emma Stone at the Oscars. Like
Mhm.
I'm shocked because I'm like, oh, they're both really, really good. I kind of want Lily Gladstone to win, but I wouldn't be unhappy if Emma Stone won either, kind
Yeah.
of thing. And then Cillian Murphy, which at this point, this is pretty much cemented that he's going to win the Oscar. Like
See, I
Paul
thought he
Giamatti
was
probably
gonna
is his
win
biggest.
when I saw the performance, but I didn't realize so many great performances would pop up between what was Oppenheimer, early June or late June, early July,
July, yeah, it was
and
July.
yeah, July and the current month we're in. Because
Oh yeah,
I love all the. I haven't seen Andrew Scott's, but I've seen the rest of these, and they're all fantastic.
sure. I haven't seen Saltburn. Rustin, I heard a lot of very mixed things about the movie, but everyone says Coleman Domingo is
Coleman
very good.
Domingo's amazing in it. I agree. Yeah,
Yeah, Leo DiCaprio was good. It's some people try to say it's his best performance. I don't agree. I think it's a different performance from him.
he's got a
Playing
lot
him.
of best performances too under his
That's
belt.
the problem. I mean,
Yeah,
like when I think
Catch Me
of
If You Can will probably always be my favorite personally.
I liked him better in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood than I liked him here. But that's because Once Upon a Time in Hollywood had a lot more showy stuff for him to do, like bigger performance stuff. Him in Killers of the Flower Moon, he's a very subdued and dumb character.
Okay.
Like he's playing pretty much a
Oh
violent.
wow.
Well, no, that's the thing. That's part of the thing of his character. That he's a violent thug, essentially. Like
Okay.
he's playing the complete opposite of a Leo DiCaprio type character. Where he's just a uneducated stooge who's pretty much being twisted around Robert De Niro's finger the entire time.
It's cool to see older actors who have been doing it for so long kind of step out of their typical box,
Yeah.
especially when working with the same directors.
Oh yeah. And then I mean Bradley Cooper is good in Maestro. It's just,
I
you
agree
know,
with that. Yeah.
yeah.
Not my
But yeah,
favorite.
no, honestly, I feel like the lead contenders for best actor at the Oscars now are going to be Paul Giamatti and Cillian Murphy.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
Paul Giamatti's fantastic. Killian Murphy, it's such a unique performance, especially in a Nolan film,
Well,
because usually,
it's so nuanced,
yeah, so many Nolan film performances are incredible, but those characters are only there to progress the plot and the
Mhm.
idea of what is being. I think this is one of the first Nolan films where the character is fully realized and not a
Well, because the
linchpin
story's
for a
all
plot
about
idea.
him and not about the
Right.
story. Yeah. I think that's the problem that Nolan at his worst when he lets the story take the precedence. It's all about what happens in the plot and not who it happens to. Like
Mhm.
Tenet, it doesn't matter who the main character is. The main character literally doesn't have a name in Tenet. That's how unimportant he is to his own story.
For all the complaints I have about Oppenheimer, what I loved most about Killian's performance is he's not interested in any of my complaints. That character, that those closing lines were perfect. 'Cause, for me, it was like, "Man, wasn't all these scientists deifying this guy? He wasn't a." And the character literally doesn't care about any of that at all.
Oh
He's,
yeah.
like, practically on on my side,
Oh yeah. No,
complaining
I
about it.
think they created a great multifaceted approach with this character.
Same.
Yeah, so no, he was really, really good in this. And it's just nice to see Cillian Murphy get recognized after so many years as a character actor, you know?
Mhm.
Like because that's the thing, like it was a huge thing for him too, because he had always just played supporting roles and creeps and weirdos in his movies. So it's like, hey, giving him a chance to do a lead performance in a 3 hour long movie, that's a huge task, and he was totally up for it. So
Yeah, and with a director he's collaborated with several times is really,
oh
really
yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Like apparently that was a huge thing for Killian is that he knew Nolan, but he also knew that because he's the lead now, that he had a lot on his shoulders to kind of like have to push him forward in the movie. So yeah, great for him. And then of course, I mean so now for the best picture categories. Why is this a thing? The cinematic and box office achievement. Like seriously, if it wasn't going to be Barbie that won this category, the highest grossing movie of the year, why have nominees at all? Just give it
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Barbie.
yeah.
Why make suspense? Like, oh, is it going to be
'Cause you could look it
John
up,
Wick?
My kids didn't know that Barbie was the highest grossing box office though, so
Well,
they all
because it's
thought
like,
they all
oh,
picked Mario in this category
well, because that
because it
was
was
the second
also a
highest grossing.
billionaire, yeah.
Yeah, that only two movies crossed a billion. Guardians. I mean, sorry, Barbie and Super Mario Brothers.
And
So
Oppenheimer came close. I think it topped out at, like, 970 if last I checked.
yeah, Oppenheimer and Guardians both got to about the 800, and I think 900
Ooh,
for Oppenheimer. He
ooh,
said.
wow. Good
Meanwhile,
job for Gunn.
Spider-Man did good. Like, I don't know if I think it topped out around maybe 500 or 600 kind of thing. But considering its budget, it was a huge hit, I think.
Yeah, and it, like, tripled or quadrupled the Into the Spider-Verse as well.
Yeah, it was a huge boost. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so wow, no, actually it did better than I thought. So it cost between 100 and 150 million. It made almost 700 million at the box office.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um
only gonna be a trilogy.
Meanwhile, John Wick did perform well in the box office. It cost the same as Spider-Verse, but it made only about what 400-ish range, but it was a hit, so that
Yeah.
worked for them. Guardians did well. Mission Impossible actually underperformed technically too.
Yeah. Especially after the Maverick follow-up. And I know
Well, and
Maverick has nothing to do with Mission Impossible, but
the problem was is that Mission Impossible had to get delayed and reshot with a bunch of stuff during COVID. So
yeah.
that unfortunately caused the budget to inflate to about what $290 million. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It's one
Wow.
of the most expensive
Whoa.
movies just because they had to wait to get it made, so
I
that
see.
added to its cost. Yeah, yeah. It was, but it didn't lose money, but it didn't make the money. Well, it made about even, which they were expecting
Yeah.
for more profit than that. That's the problem.
Hopefully part 2 does better
Otherwise,
then.
the Taylor Swift concert movie. Okay, I mean, yeah, it helped open a bunch of theaters up and made people want to come back to the theater, but
Being
sure.
told by my kids, "Oh, you don't get Taylor Swift, you're old." And me being like, "That's not fair. She was a star when I was young."
I know, and
You're appropriating Taylor Swift's fame from my generation. And they're like, "Oh, dad, you're old."
and I kind of liked her early stuff a little bit more than her recent stuff, personally.
I've
But
never even heard a lot of her recent stuff. Like when I was saying the
her
songs
recent
I
stuff's
knew to
just
my
so
wife, they were like, "Dad, that's like 15 years old, Dad." And I'm
yeah.
like, "Really?
Her
I
recent stuff
thought
is
that
just
was
so
like
bland.
yesterday."
Like she really just does big, loud, overproduced songs and big, loud, overproduced music
Sure.
videos. That's her focus now. I
Yeah, and big platitudes. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. But yeah, this is just a weird category. Best
Yeah.
animated film, kind
Yeah.
of a surprise, went to The Boy and the Heron.
See, I've seen all of these for the competition, the little ballots we were doing. I picked Elemental because I thought Pixar just wins, and that's it.
No, that period's passing, I feel like.
But if I could pick what I liked the best, it would be Suzume out of these, but Boy and
I
the
want to
Heron
see
would be
this.
second.
Everyone tells me this is great. So
Yeah, and it looks gorgeous as well.
yeah. But
I
hey, I
have
mean,
this thing about part 1 movies like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. It is good. It's amazing. Everyone see it. I am angry at the cliffhanger ending,
well, the
and
problem
one day
was
I'll
is
get
that
over it.
well, the problem is that the epilogue sequence is so long. It's
So
like
long.
like after the point when the story ends for part one, there's like 20 more minutes of setup for the part two.
Yeah, it's
It just felt like it
crazy.
dragged. I'm like, okay, why don't you just save this for the next movie?
And I honestly think it undercuts the spot because now
Yeah.
everyone wants to know what's going to happen with this new character who came out of nowhere, which is very cool. I think the whole thing is very awesome and cool looking. But also, do I even care about the spot anymore? What do you guys? Why this cliffhanger ending? It's very annoying to me.
Yeah. I mean, hey, the movie was still pretty good. But
It's crazy that Wish is on here. That's embarrassing.
it's just because of Disney. Wish sucked.
Like
It was really
everybody hated it. It's a financial flop. Why is it here?
the music's terrible even. Like I listened to the soundtrack, the music sucks in that movie.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife and I are getting a kick out of seeing all these videos of people trying to fix the movie based on the old notes they
Yeah.
found about what the movie was supposed to be. And everything that the fans have done to fix Wish has been more interesting than anything from the movie.
The pitch meeting, if anyone who follows pitch meeting watching, is a very funny episode and very
Oh,
good.
yeah. Especially the part when he pointed out that clearly that song was a love song between him and the 17-year-old girl.
Yeah, that sounds like a love song. No,
Well,
no,
it
no.
was supposed to be a romantic ballad between him and the Queen, and when they rewrote the Queen to not be a villain
Oh,
character, but they didn't change the song.
wow.
Because they just like, well, we'll just get Adriana DeBose to sing the song with
Yeah.
them.
Well,
What
that's
could
just lazy
happen?
writing. Yeah.
Yeah, that movie was just freaking lazy. And then Anatomy of a Fall winning for non-English language film, which is such a the way they do this because freaking Past Lives isn't an international film. It's made in America. It just happens to be in
Oh,
Korea.
is it? I didn't
No, it's a
realize
United States
that.
production.
I thought it was filmed in. Oh, wow.
Well,
It's
it's
yeah, United States.
because the company that made it specifically is made for American production. So it
Oh,
wasn't,
okay.
yeah, it wasn't an actual foreign film. Because yeah, where was it shot specifically? It was, well,
New York?
uh I saw it here a second ago. I want to say that it was shot in.
To the Hollywood Foreign Press is a United States production of foreign film. Does
Well,
that
so
work?
the reason they do that is they say non-English because technically just something in a language that's not American.
Okay.
And American when I say that,
Right.
which is weird
Well, her
considering we're.
husband is American and he speaks English in the movie.
I know. But then yeah, I mean, most of these are probably going to be big contenders because I know Zone of Interest and Enemy of the Fall are definitely going to be up for international feature at the
Right.
Oscars. Um, Past Lives obviously is not because it's going to be competing in other categories.
Right.
Society of Snow I haven't seen yet. I've heard back and forth on it because it's J.A. Bayona directing it, the guy who did.
That's a cool title.
Oh yeah, it's essentially another version of that story of the plane that crashed and the people trying to survive.
Oh, okay. Like
You know,
Alive,
the
that
the
sort
one
of
that
thing.
Alive was based on. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
basically a different version of the Alive story.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I think that either Perfect Days or a couple other films might be eligible for this one. So we'll see what it ends up being at the Oscars. But the last two, then, kind of another surprise musical comedy film went to Poor Things, which it seemed like they were poised to have Barbie be that, but honestly, Poor Things is a better movie. So
Now, are you surprised it won over The Holdovers?
that, I mean, yes and no. Like it is one of those things where I'm a little surprised that Holdovers didn't win because it won more acting prizes.
Mhm.
But I think Poor Things is just such a bigger, artier film that probably helped it a
Okay.
little bit. Because
I do like
The
Yargos
Holdovers is a
films.
comfort film. Like it's one of the best comfort films to come out in a long time, but it's very much like, other than the fact they say the F word a lot, it's very much a Christmas movie, you
Yeah,
know?
100%. Yeah, absolutely it is.
Yeah. But then Poor Things is an experiment, like very much an experimental movie. So,
Okay.
like, I mean, the plot itself isn't like terribly. It's hard to. Basically, it's a lot. It's basically when they say it's Frankenstein but very sexual. That's technically
Mhm.
right, but it's more about the visuals and the performances than it is about the writing itself. Even I think.
Well, there is sexual themes in Frankenstein, but they all stem from
Yeah, but this is one
well,
where Emma Stone gets screwed repeatedly, not
okay.
not not metaphorically, but literally screwed
I see. I see.
repeatedly by multiple men. Like I'm honestly surprised that it didn't get an NC-17 rating. Like it's I think it's only because they didn't show anyone doing overt like oral stuff.
Oh,
But
okay.
because literally everything else in the movie is just Emma Stone fully nude and other people fully nude doing it. So at least for the second half of the film. But yeah, it's a very good film. And then
Mhm.
Oppenheimer won Best Picture in a drama. Woo!
And I would pick this out of what's on this list as well.
Yeah, honestly, like the one I really want to see other than Anatomy of the Fall is Zone of Interest, which I mean, I
Same.
love
Yeah,
that
I haven't seen
director.
that yet.
Yeah, I love that director's work. He's great. Because it's Jonathan Glazer.
Was that The Death of Stalin?
No, he did Under the Skin.
Oh,
Yeah, but that's the thing. He hasn't directed another movie since Under the Skin. This is his first film in 10 years.
wow.
Well, because the thing is that he's very much like he's literally only made 4 films: Sexy Beast, Birth, Under the Skin, and Zone of Interest.
Oh my gosh, Birth.
Yeah, that's an interesting film. You notice he took a giant break between that film too. He took the 9-year break between Birth and Under the Skin.
I saw Birth back when it was new. What was that? 2004.
Mhm.
I hated it, but I'm willing to try it again because I thought Under the Skin was great, but I hated Birth. My problem with Birth is
It's such a weird
I
premise.
I don't understand how it's not dismissed immediately. Like if on the spectrum child came up to me and was like, "I'm your dead friend," I'd be like,
Your dead husband.
"Yeah."
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Well, anyway," and that would be it. That would literally be the end of the movie if it was my life. Like, just
it's it
excuse
was
me,
made at a
strange
very
lost
different
boy.
time.
Who's who boy belongs to this boy here? Like, yeah, it was. Oh, and there's a 7-minute scene where Nicole Kidman is just sitting, and it was 7 minutes, and we're just watching her sit. And maybe I was too immature at the time, but I was like, I'm so bored, watching it.
It was very much an experiment because in contrast, Sexy Beast is a much more straightforward film. That's the one with Ray Winston and Ben Kingsley, where Ben
Yeah.
Kingsley got
Well,
an Oscar
everyone loves
nomination.
that Ben Kingsley monologue. I like that went
Well, just
around for
Ben Kingsley in
years.
anything in that movie, he's just
No,
a
you're
force of
that's a good
nature.
point. Ben
Yeah.
Kingsley is an incredible actor.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was one of his last, like, because he had a long period where he was just in crap after this movie, like Love Guru. But like, Sexy Beast was a nice reminder to let people know he can still make good movies. He just
Yeah.
chooses not to in a lot of times.
Mhm. Under the
um,
Skin, that gave me severe anxiety because there's just a shot where a little child, toddler age, is just left on a beach.
mhm.
And that made me so stressed out. I know I should be more stressed out about the alien invasion stuff, but the little child just left on the beach and crying, I was like, "This is the most brilliant director. This shot right here has me so full of twisty, turny stomach and heartache. I will watch anything this person does."
Well, the
So,
thing that he really innovated was that whole effect of the dark room or whatever that thing is, which they never
yeah,
actually made
very
in the movie.
cool. Yeah.
Because then Stranger Things just flat out stole that in their, for the upside
The
down like
upside down,
projection
yeah.
room. Well, it was the upside down like the red area place, but like that whole black room that Eleven
Yeah.
went to the first 2 seasons. That's just straight up from Under the Skin. That's
Mhm.
exactly the same thing.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
I
yeah.
know. I just saw that. I'm like, hey, I've seen that before.
Wait a second, you all thought we wouldn't notice because it's an obscure film.
Yeah, but Zone of Interest really had me interested ever since Cons, where it just barely got beat out by Anatomy of the Fall for the Palme d'Or.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but then it won the director prize. So I suspect because it did well here with nominations, and then it won the Los Angeles Film Critic Prize for Best Film, that's very likely going to be nominated as well in some categories.
Wow.
Yeah, but
That'll be a fun race.
yeah, but I'm pretty certain at this point Oppenheimer's going to win Best Picture at the Oscars. Like, it
Mhm.
seems like it was popular. It's one of Nolan's best movies in a lot of people's eyes. It has a lot of likable actors in it. It's got an accessible subject compared to most Christopher Nolan movies. It seems like it's got the right mixture of Oscar baity stuff to win Best Picture, in my
I
opinion.
mean, score is a lock.
Yeah,
Practical effects or just effects. I mean, they
and
don't
the thing
say
that helps it
practical
too,
effects. That's gotta
people
be
have
a
actually
lock.
seen Oppenheimer compared to a lot of the
Yeah.
other movies. It was a humongous hit. So
Tons of discussion post film from everybody. People who hate it and love it are talking about it, you know.
mhm.
And I think that's a huge thing for Best Picture for me that people actually talk about it.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, that's it. I mean, we covered pretty much everything, I feel like. So,
We're champions. We
yeah,
deserve an award.
no, I'm starting to hit my limit here too. So I think it's time to wrap up. But
That's very good.
yeah, no, I think this is good. We got a lot of stuff discussed, and then we will be back next week because the Emmys are going to put out their rest of their winners, and not only that, but for the viewers who have seen this or maybe are familiar with her, our friend Rose wants to be on the recording next week. So yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
gonna be
I
awesome.
know,
Yeah.
not like a Rose, whoa, but I'm like, hey, for anyone who knows, Rose
Yeah.
is great. So it'll be nice to have her on the recording again next week. So
Mhm.
yeah, but Brad, any last thoughts before we wrap up?
It's been a pretty good year for movies. I've really enjoyed being to see a lot of these with my older kids who can understand. Since I was like 10, I've seen the "Will mankind eventually destroy itself" theme. So I'm a little used to that type of storytelling with Oppenheimer. Seeing my son, though, experience that for the first time on such a grand scale that is a Christopher Nolan film was probably one of my top 3 theatrical experiences of the year, because
Oh,
he was, like, shook to his core, like, "Is the human race gonna be okay?" And I'm
that
a
great
pretty
friend,
yeah.
that great parenting moment when you help your kids learn existential dread.
Right, exactly, and then noticing it in other why I'm so impressed again with Oppenheimer is, he started noticing it in other stories, and I was just so proud of that, like, that's right, like, we had a Studio Ghibli binge, and at the end of a lot of the films, he's like, "This is kinda like the existential dread in Oppenheimer, the, weapon that will destroy all the world
Well, I mean,
eventually."
even The Wind Rises kind of covers stuff like that too, where it's like,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly, dude. Castle in the Sky, Princess Mononoke, several themes. The forest isn't his anymore. That hit him so hard, that line, for any Mononoke fans out there. And I'm like, of course it does, because you understand it now that you've seen the existential dread that adults have.
This is why you need adult movies to help teach kids how to process real thoughts and real emotions. Like, obviously, don't take your super young kids to watch R-rated films,
Right.
but show them
He's a
stuff that will actually make
teenager.
them,
I have a teenager,
yeah,
so
show them stuff that'll make them think a little bit. I mean,
and making them think it, and they'll thank you for it. Like
yeah.
this was a 3-hour movie that he was like, "Thank you so much for taking me to that, Dad." I was a
Aw.
little surprised, like, "Wow, like good
Well,
job."
I mean, the same thing happened to me when I went. My dad took me to go see Lord of the Rings, which I was
Mhm.
terrified at first because it looked really scary. And then I saw it. I sat through the entire movie, and I'm like, that was one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So
So yeah, closing thoughts. Take your kids if they're old enough to grown up movies. I shouldn't say
yeah.
adult movies. That always gives the wrong impression.
Yeah, no, 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 no.
Yeah,
But no, yeah, yeah. Take them to movies that will make them think a little bit. Like, I mean,
yeah,
there's lots of great older films that are family appropriate, but still make you have talks about certain subjects, kind of thing. So
exactly.
yeah. But no,
Very good. Thank you. Yes.
yeah, thank you guys so much. And yeah, we'll be back next week. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Unless you had anything else you want to promote for
No,
on your own
that's
end.
everything. Oneofus.net. I do reviews. Also, check me out on the Impaudible cast. Very old episode I'm on with the Outsiders. I'm very proud of it.
Oh, Mission Impossible.
Um, yeah, Mission Impossible. Thank you. There's an
Ah,
Outsiders episode. I love that story, and Nate let me gush about it for like 15 minutes. So enjoy that.
Nate never invited me back to that podcast.
Well, you were on it though. I've
I
only
was
been
on it
on
a
the.
while ago.
I was only
Yes.
on the one time as well.
Ah,
But
right. Okay. I was like, I thought you meant recently. I'm like, I think
no,
this is
this was
back
years
in.
ago. It's an
Yeah,
old
no.
episode. I'm just very proud of it, and it promotes reading. So
Learning and Mission Impossible.
yes, exactly.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye bye. All
And it
right.
sounds like he
So,
just woke up
oh,
just in time.